Ever wonder how some veterans manage to get into their new homes faster than others with a VA loan?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
And, often the answer lies in a specific program from the Department of Veterans Affairs. It's designed to speed things up.
Oh, what's it called?
It's the Lender Appraisal Processing Program, or LAPP for short.
LAPP. Okay, so we're diving deep into how this LAPP program works its magic, how it speeds up VA loan appraisals.
Exactly. We're going to unpack LAPP today, show how it streamlines that whole appraisal part of the process.
Which can mean quicker closings for veterans, right?
Precisely. And understanding it, well, it gives you a pretty valuable peek into how government agencies can sometimes delegate things to, boost efficiency. It's interesting stuff, whether you're in real estate or just curious about these processes.
Okay, makes sense. And where are we getting our info for this deep dive?
Our guide here is VA Pamphlet 26-7. We're focusing on Chapter 15, which is basically the rule book for LAPP.
Got it. So Chapter 15, and our mission is
What's it?
to really get the core mechanics of LAPP.
Yeah, pretty much. Understand how it operates and what that means for the lenders and ultimately for the veterans trying to buy a home.
Right. So LAPP, what's its main purpose boiled down?
Well, at its heart, LAPP is all about shortening the time it takes to close a VA home loan. Simple as that.
How does it do that?
It works by letting VA-authorized lenders directly handle the appraisal reports in many situations. This cuts down on the need for the VA itself to be directly involved every single time.
Ah, okay. So the review shifts, at least initially.
Right. Placing that initial assessment with the lender's own expert, that's really the engine driving LAPP's speed advantage.
So instead of the VA being the bottleneck, maybe, LAPP empowers these qualified lenders. How does that actually work in practice? Like, what are the steps?
There are basically four main steps in LAPP processing. First, the lender requests the VA assign an appraiser and a loan number, like normal.
Okay.
But importantly, they flag the case right up front as LAPP.
Got it. Step 1, flag it as LAPP. What's next?
Step 2 is where the speed really comes in. The VA-assigned appraiser finishes their report and sends it directly to the lender's own VA-approved staff appraisal reviewer. We call them a SAR.
SAR. Okay, so it bypasses the usual VA route and goes straight to the lender's in-house expert. What does the SAR do?
That's step 3, and it's a big one. The lender's SAR does a thorough review. They check if it's complete, if it meets, industry standards and all the VA's own requirements.
Right, like a quality check.
Exactly. They also figure out the reasonable property value and identify any conditions or repairs maybe that need sorting out before the VA can guarantee the loan.
Okay.
Then the SAR sends a written notice of value, the NOV, straight to the veteran buyer. This NOV lays out the value and any conditions.
So the VA is basically trusting this SAR at the lender's office to do that initial critical review.
Pretty much. They're ensuring there's a qualified gatekeeper at the lender level, someone who can uphold the standards without direct VA oversight on every single case.
Okay, the SAR is like the VA's eyes and ears inside the lender for appraisals. What's the final step then?
Step 4 is closing. Because they've followed the LAPP process with the SAR review, the lender can then underwrite and close the loan automatically.
Automatically.
Yep, and it's only after the loan closes that they formally request the VA loan guarantee.
That is a big difference. LAPP lets lenders close faster in many cases. Now, who gets to do this? It can't be just any lender, right?
No, you're right. Any lender who already has what's called automatic VA loan approval authority can apply for LAPP authority.
Automatic authority,
Yeah.
meaning they can already approve most VA loans without sending them to the VA first.
That's the one. If they have that and meet the LAPP criteria, they can apply.
And this SAR, the staff appraisal reviewer, they sound absolutely crucial.
Totally central. The SAR is the person through whom the lender actually uses their LAPP authority.
Right.
They're the designated expert making those key appraisal review decisions.
So what does it take to become a SAR? What are the qualifications?
The VA has some specific requirements. First, a SAR has to be a full-time salaried employee of that lender, no contractors.
Full-time salaried. Okay. What else?
Second, they need at least 3 years of solid work experience, specifically in administrative appraisal reviews related to VA loan guarantee underwriting.
3 years just reviewing appraisals for VA loans. That's quite niche. What kind of skills do they need to show from that experience?
Well, it needs to show they really understand appraisal principles, methods, practices, all that technical stuff. And importantly, they need the ability to review other people's work critically, spotting deviations, finding calculation errors, identifying conclusions that just aren't backed up by the facts in the report.
That makes sense. They need a sharp eye for detail and consistency. Any other desirable skills? Or maybe ways to meet that experience requirement?
Yeah, it's definitely helpful if they also understand general real estate practices, are good at gathering data, and can write clear reports. And interestingly, the VA does say that 3 years of experience with the HUD direct endorsement program can count towards the SAR experience requirement.
Oh, the FHA program.
Exactly. As long as the other SAR application bits are met, that HUD experience is seen as relevant because it involves similar lender review processes.
Good to know there's some crossover. What about where the SAR works? Do they need to be in the main office or near the property?
Nope, no location restrictions for the SAR themselves. They can work remotely anywhere.
That fits today's world. Okay. But what about the scope of their authority? Can a SAR sitting in, say, Florida review a LAPP case for a property in California?
Yes, absolutely. Once they're fully trained and have done their initial case reviews, we'll get to that their LAPP authority covers properties in any state where their lender has automatic loan closing authority.
Any state the lender operates in automatically.
Right. And if the lender gets automatic authority in a new state, the SAR's LAP authority automatically extends there too.
Wow, that's broad. Is there a catch?
Well, the crucial part is the SAR is personally responsible for knowing and applying any specific local VA processing requirements to the area where the property is actually located. They have to stay informed.
Okay, so broad authority, but local knowledge is key. What about conflicts of interest? Could a SAR also be like one of the appraisers the VA uses?
Definitely not. That's a big no-no. To keep the process objective, a SAR cannot have conflicts.
Such as?
Specifically, they can't be on the VA fee appraisal panel, that list of independent appraisers the VA approves.
Right.
And they can't be employed by or do appraisal reviews for any other lender at the same time. Got to keep it focused and unbiased.
Makes total sense. Ensures they're qualified and impartial. Okay, let's switch to the lenders again. You mentioned quality control earlier. Do lenders need special QC systems for LAPP?
Yes, very much so. This is a big deal for the VA. To even qualify for LAPP, a lender must have an effective quality control system, or QC system.
And what's special about it?
Crucially, it has to operate independently from their loan production side of the house.
Ah, separating the review from the sales pressure.
Exactly. You don't want loan officers influencing appraisal reviews, right? This QC system's job is to ensure the ongoing quality and accuracy of the SAR's work. It's a key safeguard.
An independent check. So what does this QC system need to actually do?
Well, the lender has to agree to show the VA their QC findings if asked, and a senior officer has to formally certify on the SAR application form that their QC system meets all the VA's detailed requirements.
Okay. Who does the reviewing within this QC system? Can it be just anyone?
The review should be done either by an independent third-party company or by an independent internal audit division within the lender.
Reporting to?
Directly to the CEO or equivalent. And the people doing these QC reviews need at least a basic grasp of appraisal theory and how to recommend fixes if they find problems.
So oversight requires some expertise too. How often do these QC reviews happen and what are they looking at?
They need to be regular, usually monthly or quarterly desk reviews. They look at a sample of each SAR's LPP cases.
How big a sample?
At least 5% of the SAR's cases from this period, or a minimum number like 5 cases, whichever is more. And importantly, they need procedures to review more cases if they start seeing a pattern of issues.
Okay, scalable oversight. What exactly are they checking in those reviews?
They're looking at the overall quality of the SAR's review work itself. Did the SAR do a good job?
Makes sense.
They also check if the property actually meets the VA's minimum property requirements, the MPRs. And they assess if the reasonable value the SAR determined seems appropriate based on the appraisal. Essentially, double-checking the SAR's work against VA standards.
Got it. Beyond checking individual cases, what else is the QC system responsible for?
It also has to make sure that everyone involved, the QC staff and the SARs, has easy access to all the current VA regulations, directives, policy updates, everything, and that this info is kept up to date.
Keeping everyone on the same page with the latest rules, that can be a challenge. What if the QC review does find mistakes in a SAR's work?
Good question. The system must have a clear process. Any problems found have to be reported in writing to the lender's senior management, at least quarterly.
Okay, reporting upwards, then what?
Then, senior management is required to act promptly to correct those issues, document what they did, and make sure the SARs get clear instructions on how to fix things going forward. Accountability.
Right, a feedback loop for correction. You also mentioned something earlier about reviewing the fee appraisers, the ones doing the initial appraisal.
Yes, that's another piece. Besides reviewing the SAR's LAPP work, the lender's QC system should also include doing random field reviews of appraisals completed by the independent appraisers and the VA fee panel.
Field reviews, like going out to the property.
Sometimes, or a more in-depth desk review. This can be done by the SAR or an independent contract appraiser hired by the lender.
And if they find problems with the fee appraiser's work,
If they find significant negative issues, the lender has to formally report those findings to the VA Regional Loan Center that manages that particular fee appraiser. It helps the VA monitor the quality of the whole appraisal panel.
wow, that's another layer of checks. Let's keep the whole system honest. Okay, so let's say a lender thinks they meet all these criteria. They have automatic authority, a qualified SAR candidate, a solid QC plan. How do they actually apply for LAPP?
The process starts by submitting a specific form. It's VA Form 260785, the lender's staff appraisal reviewer application.
One for each SAR they want approved.
Exactly. And there's a processing fee for each application. This package goes to the VA regional office that covers the area where the SAR is physically located,
Picking if they work remotely.
usually based on their designated work location. Though the VA might allow submission to a different, more convenient office, maybe if that's where training will happen.
Okay, is there a fee?
Yes, it's $100 per SAR application. And along with the form and fee, they need to include all the required info, statements, certifications exactly as laid out on the form.
Formal stuff.
Right, can be on lender letterhead or attached to a letterhead statement referencing it. Standard procedure for all SAR requests.
Gotcha. So they send it all in. What happens then? How long does the VA take?
The VA regional office reviews everything. They try to let the lender know their decision reasonably quickly. If the VA agrees and the SAR candidate meets the basic qualifications, they'll notify the lender, but also state that the SAR still needs to complete the required SAR training and initial case reviews. That's the next hurdle.
Okay, so getting the application approved is step one, but not the final step. You mentioned a SAR ID number before. When does that get assigned?
That notice from the VA, the one saying the SAR meets the basic qualifications, that will include a permanent ID number for that specific SAR.
Permanent, so it stays with them.
Yep, it's unique to that individual and follows them even if they move to a different lender later and get approved as a SAR there. Helps the VA track qualified reviewers.
Makes sense. Okay, so the SAR is approved on paper, but they can't just start reviewing LAPP cases independently yet, right? This training and initial case review thing.
That's exactly right. A SAR cannot fly solo on LAPP reviews until they've met both the VA's training requirements and their initial case review requirements.
And who usually handles that?
Typically, VA staff provides the training, and then they also conduct those first case reviews.
But you mentioned exceptions earlier, ways around the standard VA training and review.
Right. There are three main exceptions. First, a lender can ask for the VA training to happen during or even after the initial case reviews are being done. A bit more flexible timing.
Okay, what's the second?
Second, if a SAR has already gone through all this successfully with a previous LAPP lender, and they've been actively doing LAPP reviews within the last year, the new lender can request a waiver for both training and the initial case reviews, basically recognizing their recent proven experience.
That makes sense. Avoids redundant training. What's the third exception?
The third way is if the lender already has an experienced, fully authorized SAR on staff who is performing well.
Okay.
That experienced SAR can actually train the new SAR and review their initial cases, sort of like an internal mentorship. But there are conditions.
Such as?
The experienced SAR must have full LAPP authority themselves, be doing a good job, provide comprehensive training covering all VA requirements, and personally review and sign off on the acceptability of the new SAR's first few LAPP cases.
So an internal training program, but with oversight. What's the process if a lender uses their own experienced SAR for this?
Once the experienced SAR confirms the trainee has successfully completed training and reviewed at least 5 initial cases acceptably,
Right.
the lender's senior officer has to send a formal signed notice to the VA. It needs the names and SAR IDs of both the trainee and the trainer.
And proof.
Yes, a letter confirming the training covered everything and that the trainer reviewed at least 5 successful cases from the trainee, including the specific VA case numbers for those 5 cases. Documentation is key.
Got it. Very thorough. Now, what if a lender doesn't have an experienced SAR or doesn't qualify for a waiver? Back to the VA-led process.
Exactly. In that case, after the VA confirms the SAR meets basic qualifications, the lender needs to contact the VA office to schedule the training.
How long does that usually take?
The VA generally aims to provide the training within about 30 days. It's often held at the VA office, maybe sometimes at other locations, if it aligns with VA travel.
What's the training like?
Minimum is usually a one-day session. Covers LAPP procedures, guidelines, and any specific local VA requirements, though VA emphasizes keeping those local variations limited. Consistency is the goal.
One day. Okay. Then come the initial case reviews. How does that work for the first 5 cases?
Right. For those first 5, the new SAR does the full review of the appraiser's report, determines the reasonable value, and then drafts the notice of value for the veteran. But, and this is important, they don't send it to the veteran yet.
It's like a practice NOV. Who checks it?
Either VA staff or potentially that experienced SAR if the VA has given permission. They review the draft NOV, the original appraisal request, the appraisal report itself, and any related documents for each of those 5 cases.
Okay. What are the possible outcomes of this review? What if the new SAR did a good job?
If VA staff reviews it and finds the work acceptable, they will issue the official NOV to the lender within about 5 work days. If an experienced SAR is doing the review and it's acceptable, they update and sign the SAR certification on the NOV and mail it directly to the veteran.
So the NOV gets issued one way or another if the work is good. What if the VA staff finds problems?
If they find deficiencies, they'll send a letter to the lender, again within about 5 days, detailing the issues.
Just minor stuff, or?
Could be. But if the deficiencies are more serious, what they call substantively deficient, like the SAR missed major appraisal errors or didn't note required repairs or conditions correctly, then the VA's letter will say, the SAR has to keep submitting all their LAPT cases for VA review and NOV issuance before the loan can close. They basically lose the independent authority for a while.
Ouch. Back under close supervision.
Right. And they might even require the SAR to come into the VA office for more counseling or training.
Okay. What if the initial reviews are just fine, no major issues?
If a case is fully acceptable, the VA staff usually won't give specific feedback on that single case. They just issue the NOV.
And once all 5 are done acceptably?
Once the SAR successfully gets through all 5 initial reviews and meets the training requirement, and VA deems their work fully acceptable overall, the VA sends the lender a formal letter saying the SAR has met all the requirements and now has full authority to process LAPP cases independently and issue the notice of value themselves. They're officially good to go.
Phew. It's quite a process to ensure competence. Okay, so once a SAR is up and running, what happens if things change? Like if they leave the lender?
That's really important. The lender must notify the VA right away if a SAR leaves their employment or stops functioning as a SAR for any reason.
And the consequence?
The SAR's LPP authority ceases immediately. And if that was the lender's only SAR, the lender's overall eligibility to even participate in LATSP stops right then and there too.
Wow, okay. Tied directly to having an active SAR. What if a SAR leaves one lender and joins another? Do they start from scratch?
If they join a new lender, the new employer has to submit a fresh SAR application form, the 260785, and pay the $100 fee.
But do they need retraining?
Not necessarily. The new lender can request that waiver we talked about. They'd include a copy of the VA's prior notice showing the SAR already met their requirements, plus a statement confirming the SAR has been actively doing LAPP reviews within the past year.
Okay, so their prior qualification can carry over if they stayed active. What about changes at the lender itself? Mergers, buyouts?
Yes, the lender absolutely has to notify the VA about any changes in ownership, mergers, or acquisitions. Chapter 1, Section 9 of the pamphlet details exactly what info the VA needs in those situations to ensure LAPP authority can continue smoothly.
Makes sense. Lots of notification requirements. Okay, let's talk about the lender's ongoing responsibilities when they are using LAPP. What's expected?
The big one is due diligence. Lenders using LAPP have to exercise due diligence in processing every single LAPP case.
Due diligence meaning?
Meaning they have to comply with all the applicable VA policies, procedures, regulations, laws. The VA defines it as the kind of care a reasonable and prudent lender would exercise if they were relying solely on that property as security for their own money.
So treat it like their own risk. If they do that, what can lenders expect from the VA?
If they follow the rules and exercise that due diligence, they can have a reasonable certainty that the VA will issue the loan guarantee certificate that's the final VA backing for the loan, Form 26, 1899.
Reasonable certainty.
Yeah.
Unless
there was fraud or some kind of willful, significant misrepresentation by the lender involved in the loan. Barring that, they should get the guarantee.
Okay. Now, you said LAPP authority is a privilege, not a right. What does that mean practically?
It means the VA grants it at their discretion, and lenders keep it by staying compliant. The VA absolutely reserves the right to amend, suspend, or even completely withdraw a lender's LAPP privilege if they find proper cause.
So don't mess up.
Pretty much. Chapter 17 talks more about the reasons and process for withdrawal. It's a system built on trust and performance.
Understood. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty of LAPP processing. Are there any types of properties or situations where LAPP just can't be used?
Yes, definitely. Some are off limits for LAPP. You can't use it for properties involving master appraisals.
Like for condo projects?
Right, or for foreclosure appraisals, or situations involving a partial release of the VA loan security. Also, if HUD made the value determination, LAPP isn't used. Chapter 10 has the full list and details on property eligibility.
Okay, so those more complex or unusual cases still go through the standard VA review. What about the basic VA appraisal requirements themselves? Does LAPP change what needs to be in the appraisal report?
No, not at all. All the standard VA appraisal requirements laid out in Chapter 11 still apply fully to LAPP appraisals.
And the review standards?
Same thing. Chapter 13 covers appraisal review and NOV issuance requirements for all VA appraisals, and those standards apply within LAPP too. LAPP mainly changes who does the review and issues the NOV in many cases, not what the standards are.
So same quality standards, potentially faster process. What if a lender gets an appraisal back on a property that is LAPP eligible, but maybe they're unsure about something or just choose not to use LAPP for that specific loan? Can they send it to the VA instead?
Yes, they always have that option. A lender can choose to submit an appraisal package to the VA office for VA staff review and NOV issuance, even if it was technically LAPP eligible.
Do they need to include anything special?
Yes. If they do that, they must include the SARS draft NOV letter to the veteran, along with all the usual appraisal documents from Chapter 11. And they have to meet any other prior approval requirements for automatic lenders, which are in Chapter 5.
Is that common? Or does the VA expect them to use LAPP?
The VA's expectation is definitely that if a property can be processed under LAPP, it should be. If a LAPP lender bypasses the LAPP process for an eligible property, they actually have to provide a detailed written explanation for why they did that when they submit the loan for VA guarantee later.
So use it unless you have a very good reason not to. Okay. Now, tricky areas. Affiliates and agents. Real estate involves lots of relationships. How does LAPP handle lender affiliates? Like a builder the lender owns.
That's a key area with the restrictions. Generally, lenders can't use LAPP for transactions involving their affiliates. Builders, developers, brokers, any entity the lender owns, has a financial stake in, or is otherwise tied to.
Unless
the VA specifically approves it.
Why the restriction?
It's all about preventing potential conflicts of interest or undue influence on the appraisal process when the lender has a vested interest in another part of the deal.
Makes sense. Are there any automatic exceptions?
A couple of narrow ones. It might be okay if the only connection is a construction loan the lender provided the builder, or if the lender can show the VA, maybe through corporate documents, that the lender and affiliate operate completely separately and independently, with no cross-influence.
So proving true separation.
Right. And even then, the lender's QC plan has to specifically show how they insulate the appraiser, the SAR reviewer, and the underwriter from any influence from that affiliate. Chapter 1, Section 7 covers this. Independence is paramount.
Okay, strict rules for affiliates. What about real estate agents acting on behalf of the lender? Can they be involved in LAPP?
Yes, agents can play a role, but again, under specific conditions. It requires an established, ongoing agency relationship between the sponsoring lender, the one funding the loan, and the agent.
How is that proven?
It needs to be documented by a formal corporate resolution that the VA has accepted. Chapter 1, Section 8 again. This resolution basically says the lender takes full responsibility for their agent's actions.
The lender is on the hook.
Completely. And the lender is also responsible for making sure their agents are properly trained on VA appraisal procedures and understand the specific limits on what agents can and cannot do within the LAPP process.
Okay, so what can authorized agents do in a LAPP transaction?
Authorized agents acting for an approved LAPP lender can request the VA appraisal assignment.
How?
They can use either the lender's VA system logon or their own, but the sponsoring lender must be identified clearly when the request is made.
Can the agent receive the report?
Yes. If the agent is supposed to receive the appraisal report, the request needs their details, address, signature, firm name, phone. And it's crucial to remember, when the agent requests the appraisal, they're making the required certifications on behalf of the lender.
Okay, they can order it and receive it? Then what?
As soon as the agent gets the appraisal report, they must immediately forward it to the sponsoring lender's SAR. No sitting on it.
In the timeline.
The lender then has to issue the LAPP notice of value within 5 business days of the agent receiving that report. The clock starts ticking when the agent gets it.
Okay, quick turnaround. What about talking to the appraiser? Can the agent call the appraiser to discuss the value if they think it's low?
Absolutely not. That's a critical boundary. Agent contact with the fee appraiser is strictly limited to asking about timeliness, like when will the report be ready?
Nothing about value or condition.
No. Discussions about value or property condition can only happen between the lender's LAPP SAR and the fee appraiser. This maintains the appraiser's independence during the valuation.
Got it. Clear lines of communication. Any rules about how agents advertise themselves regarding LAPP?
Yes. An agent who doesn't actually have LAPP authority through a sponsoring lender cannot advertise or represent themselves as LAPP approved. That's a violation.
And even if they are authorized for one lender?
Even then, an agent with LAPP authority for lender A cannot issue a LAPP NOV for a loan being done by lender B. Their authority is tied to their specific sponsoring lender. Chapter 13 clarifies this.
Okay. Clear roles, clear responsibilities, clear boundaries. It's quite a detailed system.
It really is.
All right, we have covered a ton of ground on LAPP. Let's try to wrap up the key takeaways.
Sounds good. I think the main thing is LAPP exists to speed up VA loans. It does this by letting approved lenders, through their trained SARs, handle much of the appraisal review directly.
Right, the SAR is the linchpin.
Exactly. They're the qualified expert inside the lender. And supporting them, you need that strong independent lender QC system to ensure accuracy isn't sacrificed for speed.
And then those specific rules for affiliates and agents are crucial for maintaining objectivity.
Absolutely. All designed to get the loan closed faster for the veteran while still protecting everyone's interests. And hopefully, less stress for the veteran in the home buying process.
So the big aha for me here is seeing LAPP as this deliberate balancing act. It's trying to get efficiency, which everyone wants, but without losing the essential oversight needed for government-backed loans.
That's a great way to put it.
It's not just cutting corners, it's this system of delegated authority, but with layers of checks built in, SAR qualifications, lender QC, specific process rules, all aimed at accuracy and accountability.
Precisely. And that leads to maybe a final thought to chew on.
Yeah.
When you look at a program like LAPP, this model of delegating authority but keeping strict oversight, could that work elsewhere? In other government processes, or even in other industries?
Interesting question.
Does it offer lessons for getting things done faster in other complex systems without, dropping the ball on quality or integrity?
Yeah.
What are the limits? What challenges pop up? How might these kinds of models evolve?
Yeah, it definitely makes you think about that fundamental tension between speed and control, doesn't it? Yeah. And how different systems try to strike that balance. Something to definitely ponder.